Hi guys, welcome back to the channel and thank you so much for clicking on today's video. I'm still on a high from finding out about Generation Q season 2 coming back over the summer. It's been such awesome news. I've loved talking to everyone about it. Everyone else is so hyped. And yeah, there's a few people who get on my case about being too positive, and if that's the worst thing you can say about me, then you go for it. So thank you. Keep sending all your comments and messages telling me how excited you are about it. And of course, I'll keep you up to date on the second we get a trailer and an exact date for the summer. But at the moment, today's a Bette Porter video, so I gotta be in my Bette Porter shirt, and at the moment, I'm wearing exclusively L-word merchandise at the moment, especially on Thursdays and Fridays, because I'm expecting that trailer to drop any second. So gotta be ready to roll with the trailer reaction. So until we get that trailer, just wearing my L-word shirts. It's good that I've got a ton. And also my new merch should be coming within the next 2 weeks. So if you haven't checked those new pieces out, there's some really, really nice Bette and Tina ones. And don't forget that I am giving a ton more away during LCon. So I'll go into all of that at the end of the video. But what are we here for today? We are here to talk specifically about my favorite character of the show, a lot of y'all's favorite character, a lot of the writer's favorite character, our main woman, our protagonist, if you will, Bette Porter. Bette fucking Porter. And I know that most people, I would say, really like Bette. There's a few people who don't. It doesn't matter either way. This is going to be a more in-depth character analysis / psychoanalysis. And just to get this out of the way, I'm not diagnosing anyone. This is for purely entertainment purposes only. This isn't a substitute for therapy or anything. So if you need anything to talk to someone, reach out to people in your area. I'll put some, general Samaritans and stuff like that down in the comments section and the description box. So if you guys want to go there, you can find resources there also. But this is all just in good fun. And if you guys like the Bette one, I'll see what I can do about doing Alice, Shane, etc. because we know these ladies are an interesting bunch, let's say. So let's get right into it. Kick back, relax, hit subscribe, make sure you knock on that bell notification. As I said, the trailer's coming any day soon. You want to be on top of it. So let's talk about our one and only Bette fucking Porter. So I'm dividing this video into 5 sections. The background, Bette's role in the L Word and Generation Q, strengths, weaknesses, character traits, romantic relationships. Ooh, that's a section. And development over the L Word and Generation Q. And in that section, I'm actually going to talk about the Bette we have now and how we've got there and why I think Gen Q got it totally right with Bette and where she's at in her place in the world and divorce and everything like that. So if you haven't seen season 1 of Generation Q, spoiler alert for that. If you haven't, what are you doing? Catch up. And obviously this does not include season 2 because we haven't seen it yet. So background, just really quickly before I talk about background and getting specifically into Bette, I'm going to be using some terms today, some therapy, psychology terms, like that's what I went to school for, in the sense that I'm just going to give a quick little summary so people can follow along. If you want to look into more detail, absolutely go for it. And psychoanalysis, like very Freudian stuff, is normally talking about the id, the ego, and the superego. So this is one of the ways I've heard it being explained in very simplified terms before, and I think it is something that like sticks well. You need to think of the id as kind of like a Jabba the Hutt that just wants its primary needs fulfilled, and fulfilled right now. So I want to eat, I want to sleep, I want to shout, I want to hit someone. Like, it is constantly primal instinct, and it wants to do what it wants to do then, there, and now. And the superego on the flip side is like Captain America, Captain Marvel, this great defender, and will not be rude, and is constantly telling you, but that's illegal, but you can't do that, but that's wrong. So right bang in the middle, you have the ego. And the ego is what's in control most of the time. That the ego kind of listens to the devil id saying, you want to just eat all that food and get drunk and steal money from a bank. And then the super ego is like, you have to work and you have to do this, and you can't park there because you're only allowed to park there for 30 minutes and you've been there for 31 minutes. And yeah, it's like a devil and an angel thing. And the ego makes all the decisions and kind of, you know, is the mediator, much of a Judge Judy sort of thing. They hear both sides and they make the decision. Oh, you're hungry and you want to eat? Okay, well, you know, let's stick to lean protein and 1,200 calories. That's normally what's going on between mine and my id is saying, no, go and buy a birthday cake and eat it. And and my superego saying, you cannot eat a birthday cake by yourself. You need to eat chicken. Boring, but you know. And people also talk about making unconscious decisions conscious, and then defense mechanisms, all those things. Most of the terminology I'm going to use is stuff that I'm sure most people are very familiar with. So let's talk about Bette's background. Now, we, as viewers who've watched Bette 6 years in the original and a year in Generation Q over the span of, 2003 until we're in 2021 now, nearly 20 years, and we do not know a huge amount about her background or anything, or any of the characters, because that was one of the issues of the original, and there's no kind of concept of time in the whole word. But what we do know is Bette has a sister. We know her sister Kit quite well. We know how Kit died in Generation Q. We know Kit had several substance abuse issues. We also know that Bette, her dad, we met him also. He's a very accomplished man, very well-to-do, intelligent, comes from money, all that stuff. So obviously has a good job, connected, well-spoken. And then her mom, who was white, her mom left her and the dad after her dad cheated on her. So we don't really know what age that happened, but I'd hazard a guess it was when Bette was quite young, because she never really talks about her mom or anything. And straight off the bat, losing your mom, whether it pass away or they left or something, at a very young age, is a huge thing. That maternal daughter relationship or mother and child relationship is like one of the, if not the most defining relationships of your life. It's supposed to be the person that's there for you no matter what, that's always going to love you, and you're constantly battered over the head with it in society, like Mother's Day and all these other things that are telling you everyone's mother loves them unconditionally. And when I don't know whether Bette, of course I'm sure Bette's mom loved her, but as Bette would say, not loved her enough to stay. That is a huge blow to the ego, superego. Bette, I believe, is where a lot of Bette's perfectionism and all that stuff comes from, because she's constantly trying to make up for this missing mother's love. And then at the same time, she's been so obsessed with gaining the love and approval of her dad because her mom's not there, that her dad has this issue with her sexuality. So she's always trying to do everything else 100% correct to make up for it. And I mean, it definitely seems as though Bette's mum has passed away now, and we don't even know like what their last interaction was. So it's really been a hard time emotionally for Bette with her family. And then, you know, I'm sure there's even a little bit of super ego whispering to her about Kit. And like, you know, when they started the show, Kit and Bette weren't on the best of terms, and they definitely worked on it and, you know, grew closer. And then in Generation Q, Kit has passed away from an overdose, and I'm sure Bette has felt a lot of guilt over that, and that's why she's running for mayor of California. And then when she doesn't win, we see her take a complete beating, because all of that, I'm doing this for Kit and because I was enough, and my dad and her mom, like when we see her on the couch that day after she's lost, she's feeling all of that loss, as in the sense that she has lost the race, but it's because she wasn't able to help her sister because her overdose, and because her dad couldn't get over the sexuality, and because her mom left, and all these things, she's irrationally using them as reasons for her loss and like piling it all on. So let's move a bit more into Bette's role in the L Word and then Generation Q. And, you know, Bette is the protagonist of the show. She is the main character in the original, the main character along with Jenny. And she is the person that we have the main couple with too. And Bette is, in season 1 of the original L Word, is very different than the Bette we see in Generation Q. And Bette and Tina, their relationship, you know, Bette has a lot of other interests, a lot of, you know, it's when her and Tina break up and all those women are meat tagging her, like, you know, she's a catch, but she is so deeply in love with Tina that it's Tina or bust. And Bette is one of those people that she can keep everything like on the surface and play it cool. And if she wants to sleep with someone, if she wants to date someone like Alice, like lightly, but when she makes that commitment to someone, it's them or nothing. And when we see her cheat on Tina in the original show, that is just Bette absolutely spinning out, because she at this stage is seeing, you know, Tina had a miscarriage and things are like breaking apart, and she's internally thinking, or maybe unconsciously thinking, Tina's going to leave me just like my mother did, so I need to completely like shove her away because I don't want her to push me away. So as I said, we see a very different Bette in Generation Q, and that is because we have seen Bette work to get Tina back in season 5 and season 6, and it's very much opened her eyes to not just being the center, not a little bit narcissistic, and she's able to step back away and say, okay, I was making it all about me, and I was taking from Tina and not giving her anything back. And I also think that Bette grew to love Tina a lot more when they were in season 5 and 6, and it wasn't just Tina being a pushover and loving Bette. Like, Tina and her both made conscious decisions to be in a relationship together and to work together and not let, you know, things fester. And then by this stage, Bette was also a parent, and being able to put someone else first. And you don't have to be a parent to do this. I mean, if you have a niece, nephew, sibling, even like friend, someone that you are caring for, looking after, and you're able to put them completely above yourself. And Bette, before, it was, you know, Bette's world, all about Bette. And although she loved the idea of Tina and having, you know, a beautiful, smart wife, she wasn't able to do that in season 1. But after, when they get back together in season 5 and 6, she was able to be completely in love with Tina and put Tina equal with herself. And they were truly a couple, instead of Bette like just leading and then, you know, Tina being like the quote unquote wife figure of the show. Tina was a lot more of a character and had, you know, more to say and do in the relationship from season 5 onward. I mean, because the other relationships we see Bette have, Nadia, the girl in the bar, Alice, like they're more ticking those relationship boxes. It's not Bette being vulnerable and giving herself completely to someone. And again, we see that in season 5, because before, Bette would never allow herself to be vulnerable or to break in front of someone. And then in season 5, when we see her like leaning on Tina, she truly is being like open and letting Tina see all of her flaws and all of her weakness, instead of trying to make this mask of perfection, which she's tried to do all her life to please her parents. I mean, in Generation Q, we also see Bette looking at Danny a lot and recognizing herself in Danny. And that's just a thing that goes with age too. And when you are this very type A, headstrong personality, like we know Bette's very smart, you know, she's a good worker, all that stuff, that she has definitely worked on herself since the original L Word and Generation Q. And this is exactly where her character would turn out if she did the work. I mean, if she just went in and continued to be like a toxic person that just like makes excuses and things, you know, if you were to approach Bette in the first season and say, why did you cheat with Candace? Like, Bette probably would have thrown up her hands and said, well, I did it because, and made a ton of excuses about, like, you know, the way Tina was behaving after the miscarriage, like she would just, or stress at work, and it was all just too much. And that's a lot of the time what toxic people do. It's never their fault. There's always an excuse for why. But if you were to ask Bette now, she would be able to say, you know, I was scared, I was spinning out of control, like take on her actions for what they were, instead of just trying to use some sort of excuse or defense about those things. And Bette not only has, obviously, you know, it's been 10 years, she's had a lot of time to work on herself. She's been a parent, so she's been putting someone else first above herself all the time and wanting the best for her. And then also she's gone through like a very painful divorce that she's still not over. We see, you know, in the second episode of Generation Q, Bette, when she's speaking to the homeless youth, she said, the woman I love beyond measure. And, you know, episodes 6 and 7, like it's written all over her face that she still loves Tina. She's still wearing her wedding ring around her neck. And that is because someone like Bette, who has had her supposed to be like defining, you know, loving relationship with her mom, was so like, you know, not normal, and she never got that love that she needed. And then her dad, there was always the caveat of he loved her and thought she was brilliant, but this part of her he didn't understand and he didn't want anything to do with. And the same thing with Kit. She loved Bette and everything, but there was a caveat to that too. Like, Kit was unwilling to stay completely sober for, you know, a host of reasons that we still, you know, we know the outline, but we don't know like the minute details about that. And with Tina, Bette thought, this is it. Like, that she loved her completely. She worked on herself, and she thought, Tina and I are going to be together forever. That's all I need. I love her so much. And there was everything there for Bette. Like, they obviously were very attracted to one another. They were both smart. She could talk to her forever. They both had Angie, and then she's also seeing bits of Tina and Angie. And for Tina to then be the one that wanted to get divorced, I'm sure that Bette was pretty blinded by the divorce and everything, and she was completely blinded by Tina wanting to marry someone else, which we see in episode 7. And I mean, anybody can see that Bette is still completely, absolutely in love with Tina, and it's like having a nervous breakdown in the kitchen when Tina's telling her that she's getting married. And part of me thinks that, yeah, I know that it's the L word and we're going to have like relationships and hookups and stuff next season, but I wouldn't have been shocked if Bette just wasn't dating anyone, because that betrayal and that, you know, split of her and Tina, it will bring back the feelings of like all the times that she's had a love relationship like completely crumble with her mom, with her dad, with Kit. And it will be very, very difficult for her to ever love someone that same way again. And I don't know whether she ever could love someone in that same way again. Tina, I think she totally could, because I think that Tina's a lot healthier than Bette, like mental health wise. And I think that, you know, there's like that saying, like, the first time you love someone, you never love someone that same way again, because it's the first time you've ever loved someone without having your heart broken. And I just think that Bette will always have that like love scar of Tina, and she'll never completely give herself over to someone else in fear of that again, because in season 1 and like those first 7 years of their relationship, I think that Bette she was still holding back some stuff with Tina, and then in season 5 she finally did give her complete self and everything, you know, vulnerable pieces and all. And it's something that she's still not over. She's still in love with her, and it wouldn't shock me if she didn't date anyone for a while. And, you know, I think that we're going to start to see either Bette and Carrie, you know, have very, like, on paper, very amicable discussions, but the body language and tension and stuff is just going to be awkward as hell. And Bette will just be, you know, beside herself, because she will constantly be measuring herself against Carrie and thinking, well, why does she want to be with her? Like, I'm this, I'm that, I'm blah, blah, blah. And Bette's obviously, like, no one is able to see themselves without some sort of like colored lenses. So it will definitely be interesting to see if Bette like ever voices that to Tina or to anyone else, in the sense of like what she got that I don't. So let's talk a bit more about Bette's strengths, weaknesses, and character traits. As I said, we know she's the protagonist of the series. You know, she's got the beautiful wife too, and we know that she is very intelligent, she's a good worker, and all those things lend in her favor, because she's a people pleaser to some extent. Like, maybe not everyday people, but she's constantly wanting to make her dad happy, wanting to make Tina happy, now wanting to make Angie happy, and to the point that she will never kind of recuse herself. Like even in season 3, when she lost her job and going through those difficulties and stuff, like Bette is not prepared to go down a step and like sell her paintings, or you know, the extreme of downsizing her house or anything like that. And once she gets to certain stages, like there's no going back for her. She'll do whatever it takes to keep like the show on the road, basically. And I mean, Bette's weaknesses are the flip side of all this stuff. Like, yes, she's strong and things, but she's very difficult to talk to. It takes her a while to be able to see someone else's point of view. And she is a very loving, and you know, her friends are very close and trustworthy and things, but she has the people she has for a very long time, and she's not someone that's gonna pick up a bunch of new friends and things, because she has those people that are loyal to her and have like proven their loyalty, and she doesn't need some huge like big fake circle or anything. And I do think it's interesting that like Bette and Shane and Bette and Alice are all really good friends, because they're all very different people. But I think the one, Bette, likes being the person, like they're a little bit younger than her, you know, they come to her a lot for advice, and I think she enjoys that. And I think she also likes kind of that she's the leader of the group and the one who is like most successful. And now that they're in Generation Q, and Alice and Shane, like money wise, they're there and stuff, and maybe even probably Shane is exceeding Bette money wise, and probably Alice, honestly, with the talk show stuff. But Bette is running from it, and you know, she's like more famous. There's always something that's kind of trumping them a bit more, in that she really is the leader and the one that they look to for advice and stuff, even though Alice probably wouldn't put it that way. So romantic relationships, I talked a little tiny bit about this before, but before Tina, there was a lot of, I'm sure, you know, I'm going on a date with someone, it ticks that box, excuse this expression, but like scratches that itch. But she would never be completely vulnerable and give herself over to someone. And to some extent, in the earlier years of their relationship with Tina, that was still kind of the case. I mean, she did open up more than she ever had with anyone, and obviously loved Tina very much, but it wasn't until season 5 and onward that she really, Tina and her were equals, and were both able to lean on one another, take charge, etc. And I think that Bette knows she will never get another relationship like Tina, because although Tina, you know, completely loves Bette, and obviously, like, you know, they were a great couple and things, Tina is able to have that love relationship with other people. I think she's a bit more love functional than Bette, in the sense that she finds it easier to let people in and to let people see her completely. And she's a bit more, surprised to say this, but confident in herself, whereas Bette is more like outwardly confident, but inside she's, you know, completely anxiety riddled. And I think that you see that come out a lot in Bette. There's a test called the GAD-7, and if you guys are interested in the questions, you can look it up, but it basically is like a test for anxiety, and you'll have like situations and then tick boxes where you say, you know, none of the days, some of the days, most of the days, all of the days, on about how, you know, anxiety filled you basically are in these certain scenarios. And I would argue that, yeah, Tina might tick some of the days, but I guarantee you that Bette has anxiety like through the roof. that she is constantly, that's why she's always go, 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 because she can't just sit and be still with herself and like watch television, because that allows her mind to like go too much and think. That she has to constantly occupy herself. So she's like, you know, always working. She has running for mayor and all these other things that she will just constantly be having this sense of like doom or dread. Like she's worrying about scenarios that are never going to happen, but she believes they could. So she's always filled with like this nervous anxiety energy. And also because one of her total fears will have been that Tina divorces me and marries someone else. And although she may have, you know, 1,000 worries that way, this one that came true, that now is like her thing of, well, I was worried about this and had anxiety about this, and it came true. So now her anxiety will be up even higher because of all of that. And moving into our final little area is Bette's kind of development over the original L Word and now in Generation Q. And I have talked a little tiny bit about this between the original and Gen Q. And, you know, we see a huge change in Bette from who we meet in the pilot to who we meet at the end of the series to who Bette is now in going to be season 2 of Generation Q. That Bette has gone through huge changes and worked on herself, her relationship. Like, I honestly believe if Bette hadn't cheated with Candace and they stayed together, they probably wouldn't have even escaped the original series together, because they weren't, Bette and Tina weren't in a healthy relationship in season 1, and they were trying to like smooth it over with the baby bandage. But that time apart did them huge amounts of good. And season 5, although they went about it in a bad way, they were happy in season 6, and, you know, a lot more equal, a lot more functional together, and both true equals in the relationship. And when we come back in Generation Q, just from what, you know, the scenes that we see, the few scenes that we have in season 6 and 7, Bette is still having a few of her issues, and maybe things relaxed a little bit, although Bette is still able to put Angie first. And from what Tina says in episode 6, Bette was able to put Tina first for a little while, but not for the long term. I think that maybe there's some like discrepancy here too, because I would argue that is one of, like, whether you want to say it as a flaw or anything, that Bette is constantly worried about what Tina thinks, how Tina perceives her, because she will, even the day they got married, I guarantee you that Bette was still worrying about what if Tina just up and leaves in the, you know, the middle of the night. And this coming true about Tina divorcing her and then marrying someone else, yes, that will fill Bette with anxiety. But then it also is pushing that button of, she found with this person who Bette won't think very highly of, Carrie, and she'll think, what is she, this person that's not the greatest, is able to give you that I don't have? Because, you know, Tina would probably say, oh, I'm still like physically attracted to you, and that's like cutthroat. Like, you're still hot, but I can't deal with you as a person. And then also it will be an even more hot button issue, because how long did it take Tina to marry Bette? And Bette, in season 3, Bette made it very clear that she wanted to get married, but it was Tina that, you know, was like, no. And then in the season 6 finale, it is Bette who asks. obviously I'd love to find out more about it, of course. But when did they get married? Like, did they get married a couple of months after the season 6 finale? Was it years? Because if it was, it was a long time anyway. Like, it wasn't, that they got back together and they were married in a month. So I think the fact that it's moving so fast with Carrie, Bette will first of all be like, hold up, what she got that I don't? And then, how are you marrying her so fast and you're so sure when with me, you were very apprehensive? I'm very, very interested to see what happens over Generation Q season 2. And I would love to know more about background of the characters and about this, missing years between the OG and Generation Q. So hopefully you got some gaps filled in for us. Love to know more about what happened with Bette and Tina, what happened with their marriage, divorce. Did they go to New York? Did they have another kid? Did they try another one? There's so many questions to answer. But I think a lot also has to do with Bette's age and working on herself and being able to be like, I know that some of my behavior in the past was very self-centered and self-forward. So she was able to put Angie very much in the front and forefront. And then with Tina, she probably tried, and maybe there's probably some answer in the middle. She probably did try, but there wasn't enough of it. And then her and Tina are both kind of right and wrong on that one. So I'd really, really love to know more. And overall, I think that Bette probably suffers from a lot of anxiety, and that's why she's the person she is. She's constantly trying to stay busy, trying to take her mind away from, analyzing herself too much and picking at those threads of her mom, her dad, her sister, her wife. And I think probably one of her fears is that Angie will go and live with Tina and Carrie, and then she'll be the othered one, because if Tina's married to Carrie and then Angie's with her, and I bet Bette also feels very ostracized by the fact that Angie does remind her a lot of Tina in that way too. And obviously, like, there's some physical similarities that I'm sure Bette can see, or even just like her personality and the way that they've raised her. So I'm sure Bette is just living in absolute fear of Carrie turning up in season 2. So I'm so excited to see it. For the next, today's Thursday, the May 13th. So from today until next Friday, I'm wearing L Word every damn day, because we have to be getting a trailer. Like, we have to. And season 2 is going to be starting this summer. So I know Leisha said that it'd be a real push for June, but come on, give us the greatest Pride gift you can. So I'm hoping for July if they can't do June. And I'm really hoping we get, obviously, the trailer. I mean, today would be real nice. The Dexter one was released 2 weeks ago on a Thursday. They usually release on a Friday for Showtime, so maybe tomorrow or maybe next week, because they wrap next Thursday, the 20th of May. They wrap season 2. So listen up, guys. Next Friday, I've rolled the dice here. Next Friday, May 21st at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern, midnight UK, so technically it'll be Saturday the 22nd, 1 a.m. Saturday 22nd of May, Central Europe. And go to my Instagram for all the other times. I think it's 8 p.m. Brazil as well. I will be having on my channel LCon 2. So I've rolled the dice here, and I'm really, really hoping that the trailer for season 2 is out by next week. So coming to discuss it will be the L Word Online, both Chris and Slicey, Bette and Tina House of Stir Fry, Jules, and All Things Tibet podcast, Brittany and Taylor. So make sure that you guys come. If you ask anything at all in the live chat, I'll be entering everyone into a draw for 3 winners to win any shirt from my merch line. And I've got some really cool new pieces, some Bette and Tina ones, like a Tina one that people requested. So make sure that you check out the store. If you get anything from there, it really supports the channel. So thank you in advance. And make sure that you subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification, because the trailer is going to be coming out any day over the next 8 days, and you don't want to miss it. If you enjoyed the video and you want to see more stuff like this, more character analysis, psychoanalysis things, please hit the like button, as it really helps the channel out too. And also, don't forget to follow me on social media. I post a lot over there, especially at the moment when we're finding out all these little tidbits of information. So that's a good place to follow me as well. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to stay safe, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Hopefully a trailer reaction. Bye!